going to move on to I envy the foos question.
It's a little Mr. T reference there.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, he got it. The question says, I see financial advisors and online tools estimate the future value of investing with Monte Carlo, historical cycles, and constant return rates. Which of these should I pay attention to?
All of them.
Monte Carlo, what were the other two?
He says historical cycles and constant return rates. Or I would add, like, what else would you pay attention to, or how should you use
I
these?
mean, that's pretty much I think all of those go into, because look, there's nothing wrong with, you see us use it all the time. We're using like straight line projections. And even on today's show, I showed you, it's not actually how the world works. I mean, because yes, the S&P 500 has annualized over 10% for like 60 plus years, but it comes in all kind of different shapes and sizes. But there's nothing wrong as you get older to use, like we've done for a 20-year-old, a 10%, but for somebody who gets close to 60, they're down to like 6%. There's nothing wrong with using some straight line just for projection purposes. But then I love using Monte Carlo, because we're running thousands of different scenarios, putting good years with bad years, and then stratifying it to the bottom performing years, to the median performing years, and then the top performing years, to kind of give clients a spread of what does this thing look like if you just throw
kind
the
of
whole
like a
kitchen sink.
three-dimensional view of it.
Yeah,
right?
a kitchen sink scenario of how likely is what you have built up going to stress test and be okay. And then I also like choosing certain periods in time for education purposes to talk about, like, hey, when we have a great recession, a 2008, what is the systematic risk of you just entered retirement right before that happened? You need to kind of look at, hey, what happens in those unique times, both the good and the bad of the situation. So all of those three things that you threw out, I use those because I think they all serve a purpose for a good financial planner and for yourself to kind of, make sure you're prepared and you get to live your best financial version of yourself.
I think for most of us, making the decision to retire, to walk away from the income that we're earning, is a really big decision. It's maybe one of, we always talk about, the house is likely the most expensive thing that you will ever buy in your life. Well, retirement is probably the most significant financial decision that you'll make. It's just basically saying, I'm going to walk away from my earned income. I'm going to count on the assets that I've built up to provide for me for the rest of my life. Well, given that is such a gravitous situation, a gravitous decision, I would argue you should measure once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. I guess technically you could overanalyze a retirement decision. We see people do that and they don't ever actually end up retiring because they overthink it. But it's hard to overthink it. You should use every resource available to you, every different type of way of running a scenario, so that you can go into retirement and financial independence comfortable. Because no matter how prepared you are, no matter how much planning you've done, there will be a psychological shift. This thing will happen where you're going to wake up the first morning post-work and say, oh, wow, what did I do? Oh, wow, I'm not going to work today. Oh, wow, I've got to rely on all the hard work I've done to this point. Well, the more time you can put into it, the more effort and the more reassurance you can give yourself, the higher your likelihood of being able to navigate retirement well and comfortable. Not that it's not still going to be uncertain and not still that you're not going to feel uncomfortable, but you can feel less uncomfortable because you know you've put in the hard work of planning and preparing for it as best as you can. And I think those are great tools to use to do that.